Bionicle Audiobook Project presents Biological Chronicle, the complete Bionicle collection, written by Greg Farshti, C.A. Hapka, and Templar Studios, with Mark Durham. Read to you by Jonathan Fair. Book 1, The Coming of the Toa. The Legend. In the time before time, the Great Spirit descended from the heavens, carrying we, the ones called the Matoran, to this island paradise. We were separate and without purpose, so the Great Spirit blessed us with the three virtues: unity, duty, and destiny. We embraced these gifts and, in gratitude, we named our island home Matanui, after the Great Spirit himself. But our happiness was not to last. Matanui's brother, Makuta, was jealous of these honors and betrayed him. Makuta cast a spell over Matanui, who fell into a deep slumber. Makuta's power dominated the lands. As fields withered away, sunlight grew cold, and ancient values were forgotten. Still, not all hope was lost. Legend told of 6 mighty heroes, the Toa, who would arrive to save Matanui. Time would reveal that these were not simply myths, for the Toa did appear on the shores of the island. They arrived with no memory, no knowledge of one another, but they pledged to defend Matanui and its people against the darkness. Tahu, Toa of fire. Onua, Toa of earth. Gali, Toa of water. Liwa, Toa of air. Pohatu, Toa of stone. And Kopaka, Toa of ice. Great warriors with great power, drawn from the very elements themselves. Together, they were 6 heroes with one destiny: to defeat Makuta and to save Matanui. This is their story. Chapter 1. A beach. He was standing on a sweeping expanse of sand sloping gently down to the sea. As he gazed out at the ocean, he saw waves breaking over a coral reef. Beyond that, there was nothing but water stretching to an unbroken horizon. "Where am I?" he thought, his mind a haze of memories and dreams. "Who am I?" Tahu. The word, a name, floated through his mind. It seemed to fit, to make sense somehow, but little else did. Tahu shook his head in frustration. Why couldn't he remember more? How had he come to this place? And why? He glanced toward the polished canister that had brought him here. Near it, he saw several red components lying on the sand. 2 turned out to be blades, shaped into the form of leaping red flames. They fitted together into a sword, the handle sitting comfortably in his clawed hand. But when he swung the sword, it felt heavy and awkward. He scowled. "Useless hunk of metal," he muttered, jabbing the blade into the sand. Then he noticed the mask. It stared up at him with gaping eye holes, its surface catching the sunlight so that it appeared to come alive in his hands. Taking a deep breath, Tahu lifted the mask to his face. A surge of power coursed through him. Yes, this was more like it. Tahu grabbed the flame sword and lifted it. This time, to his surprise, the blade was glowing with crimson fire. When he swung the sword, it sizzled through the air, trailing sparks in its wake. "Yes," Tahu said with grim satisfaction. "Now we're getting somewhere." But was he? He let the sword fall to his side, overwhelmed by despair. Why was he here? What was he supposed to do now? "Why can't I remember?" he howled, swinging his sword over his head. A bolt of fiery energy shot forth, erupting into the sky like a volcano. Sparks showered onto the beach, but Tahu didn't feel their heat. "Power. I have such power," he thought with wonder. "The power of fire, of heat and flame. But where does it come from? What is it for?" More questions, and still he had no answers. Not knowing made him shake with frustration and rage. It made him want to turn his sword against the earth, the sky, the beach, the very world itself. It was tempting, so tempting, to lose himself in chaos, to strike out with no thought for past, future, or anything else. Tahu took a deep breath. No, he couldn't allow himself to give in. Somehow he knew that, just as he'd known his name. Okay, he told himself. The knowing will come. At least, I hope it will. The white sand beach was free of any life save for some curious seabirds. To the south, jagged rocks made a crude wall against the ocean, and beyond that, Tahu could sense the heat of lava beds. Drawn to the heat and flame, he turned and walked in that direction. Only once did he turn around, at the sound of movement behind him, but the being he saw was too small to pose any threat. He kept moving toward what appeared to be a great walled city, sitting in the middle of a lake of molten lava.